Hello, class. Throughout tomorrow's lesson, we will be using the Pythagorean theorem, so I wanted to take a little time tonight to discuss it first. This is Pythagoras. He lived from 570 to 495 BC. He was a Greek philosopher and a mathematician. Many people argue that Pythagoras was not actually the person who came up with the theorem, but rather that his followers discovered it after his death. Just like you have followers on Twitter and Instagram, Pythagoras had followers of a different kind back in the day. They believed in his theories, and they used his theories in their own practices and came up with their own theorems. Regardless of who came up with the theory, it states that for any right triangle, notice how I said right triangle. Right triangles are denoted by this box, which means that they have a 90-degree angle. Now, for any right triangle, the longest side, which is also the side opposite of the 90-degree angle, can be labeled as C. The other two sides can be labeled as A and B. The longest side, C, is called the hypotenuse. As you can see in the cartoon, they're calling it the hypotenuse, which might help you remember that the long hippo is laying on top of the triangle. The hypotenuse will always be the longest side, opposite of the right angle. The Pythagorean theorem states that for a right triangle, a squared plus b squared will be equal to c squared. That means that I can take a and square it, add it to b squared, and those two sums will equal c squared. For example, if I have a triangle that is labeled with already A and B, then I can solve for the length of C, which is the hypotenuse. Now I'll show you how I would do that. I'll take A, which equals 3, and B, which equals 4. This is the information that I need, so I'll plug it into my equation, which remember is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 3 squared plus 4 squared will be equal to c squared. Notice how I just substituted for a and b. Now, 3 squared is 9. 4 squared is 16. Well, 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. Now, is c equal to 25? No, as you can see, c squared is actually equal to 25. So we must take the square root of both sides to get c by itself, and c is equal to 5. Now that we know the equation that goes with the theorem, we can use it to solve for any side length, as long as we know the other two side lengths. In the previous example, we were able to solve for C because we knew the lengths of A and B. In this example, we know the longest side, which is C. It's labeled as 13. We also know the shortest side, A, is 5. Now, we want to find B. So I'll write down the information that I know, which is A equals 5 and C equals 13, and I will plug those variables into my equation that is up here. So my equation now becomes 5 squared plus b squared, remember I don't know what b is yet, is equal to 13 squared. So 5 squared is 25 plus b squared is equal to 169 Now I need to get b by itself. So what's happening to b? Well, it's being squared and then it's being added to 25. The opposite of adding to 25 will be subtracting 25 from both sides. B squared is equal to 144. Now, to get b by itself, I'll need to take the square root. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the next, and that will leave me with b equals 12. Well, class, thanks for taking the time to listen to a little about the Pythagorean theorem. Remember, we'll be using this tomorrow. See you then.